Welcome to the Pen and Paper Hive. I am your host, Wolf, and I am a game master since 2001. Well, today's topic is how to create a spotlight, because everyone needs every now and then a spotlight on them to shine. It's very, very simple. Give a specific player time. It's like in basketball, playing your ball that you have to this player and have them this ball and make something with it. Let's dive into an example. Like you have a group of a warrior, a wizard, a rogue, and a cleric. Very, very classic group compilation. Let's say they go down into a dungeon. They had a little bit of roleplay time at the encampment. They made a camp. They had a guy that sharpened the swords and cleaned the armor and took some time preparing for delving down in the dungeon. You can make it, they kick up the door or kick open the doors and fight whatever monster is there and move on. Like, yeah, combat is exciting, but combat is not really a spotlight. It can be, but combat is something very, very common, and thus most of the time it's not really a spotlight. It's just a fight to reach the goals or whatever. But let's say they go down in the dungeon and they encounter the first giant iron door that the warrior can't open and not slam it open, not hack it through with the sword, because the metal door is more sturdy than the sword can do damage or whatever. And you create a little lock-picking minigame. However you do this, but this is the time for the rogue to shine, to step up. Oh, I can do that. I know this kind of lock. They are very, very dangerous. Please, warrior, step aside and let me handle this. Well, as I was a little kid in my town, and he pulls out his lock-picking tools and starts to pick the lock, I learned very quickly that the most valuable things are mostly hidden with behind locked doors and chests. And he describes how he tries to pick the lock, shove it in, and figure out how the lock works, trying to spot any dangerous magical traps or whatever. And you created, as a game master, this moment like, yeah, let him roll, or you rolled secretly and say, as you start to pick the lock, you feel something that's a bit off, probably a dangerous trap, or maybe just something that should be a deadly trap. How do you approach this? And your rogue starts roleplay in his spotlight, where everyone listens to just the rogue. And then he overcomes the door, and the next room, in the middle, a giant tome of ancient language that only the wizard speaks. And as soon the wizard starts to read the tome, he's like, oh my god, this is a trap room, and this tome has the secret. I'm gonna decipher it. I need time, and the doors open up somewhere, and lets water flow in, and everyone starts to listen to the rogue as you explain the ancient texts, whatever. And the wizard starts to talk. Oh, I know these are dark words. I read about this back in my time as a scholar, where I couldn't even cast one simple low-level spell. Let me read. You know what I want to say with that. You create encounters, which is basically a trap encounter, is still an encounter, but solvable by one player, because you have to know what can the player do, what is this character about, and give them explicit time to do that. Not too much, but what I have learned over the years, it's something around 5 to 10 minutes every now and then, not every evening. Mostly players get a 2 to 3 minutes spotlight most often, but so a real spotlight that really makes them shine, to make them the key to that element, that's mostly around 5 to 10 minutes, depending on the situation. Make it a moment where a single player shines. Have them the spotlight. Everyone listens to them for that time, and that's a spotlight. And you create them with the knowledge of what is the player's character about. What do they do? Have they have a background? Did they talk with you? Even when they don't create backgrounds or whatever, you can create a small spotlight so they can shine, like a puzzle that is only solvable by the wizard. But you have to be very knowledgeable as a game master, and not knowledgeable for the rules, but about your players, what they like, how do they want to shine. Do the warrior want to shine in combat, where they encounter a very, very powerful enemy that challenges them to a duel or whatever it is. The most important thing is talk with your players. Talk with players. What do you think about your character? What is his goals? What is a challenge for your character? And in most cases, a player will answer you that. In rare cases where the player says, oh, I don't care, you probably don't need spotlights. Then you play probably more a very classic group play, like just smash in the door, kick in the door, kill the monsters, grab the loot, move on. It's completely viable, but as soon we have players that want more, you need spotlights and you have to create them. And it's a fine line between featuring a player and giving just a little bit of spotlight. Because if you give a single player too much and too often, this can come out a little bit negative. So be aware of that every now and then, not every play session. I think I do it 2 to 3 ratio, like have 2 sessions with just a common spotlight where the players decide who has the spotlight, and 1 session where I create something where a single player really shines for 5 to 10 minutes. Like I created a social encounter with a vampire for our sorcerer in our group, which is very talented in talking. And I have specific encounters that the barbarian can solve easily, because it's very blunt forward. You be my friend. Okay, I be your friend. They have so many allies just because of the bluntness of the barbarian. And they have a little fox pet because of the barbarian. It's somehow always the barbarian. Yeah. I hope you got some inspiration out of this, because as a game master you have to think of so many things, and giving spotlights specifically to single players is of course a little bit harder, but the more you try it, the more you work on this, the more awesome situations you can create. It takes a bit of time. I needed a long time to learn this, and nowadays it comes off very naturally, creating encounters or situations specifically for single players where they can shine truly, where they have truly a spotlight for 5 to 10 minutes. Try it out and just tell me how you encounter the spotlight problem or the spotlights for your players. Or if you're a player, tell me about how much spotlight you already got, or if you got none, maybe talk with your game master. I wish you a very, very good time and see you soon in the next video. I really, really hope you enjoy the time. And until then, have a +1 on your next roll.